So another episode of the Outliers Mining Mini-Series. So this is going to be part two of my interview with Adam Kownatka, our manager of asset management. And last time we spoke about some pretty heavy-duty aspects of the framework that leads to, a best practice asset management program. So this time we thought we'd switch it up and actually share a screen and get into the nitty-gritty of what makes this program. So Adam, welcome back.
Hello, Ryan.
So Adam, I think one of the things that you pointed out that really strikes home with me is that there is a lot of talk in the industry right now about digitalization, using artificial intelligence, using algorithms and technology to make better decisions. Absolutely, we need to do that, but sometimes it's like an organization might want to jump ahead without you know, coming up with the fundamentals and making sure that we've got a solid framework first.
Absolutely. I like the use of the word fundamental just now. The focus is on providing consistency to the business. And I always say that the business process provides that consistency. If all of the human resources understand their responsibility and the flow of the information that they either need to capture, process, or output, then we are much further ahead than if we implement fancy widget. Now, there's obviously a time and place for fancy widgets, but those fundamentals have to be put in place, particularly in an environment that we are in right now, where human resources are quite mobile and certain organizations either lose or gain a lot of individuals who might be new to that particular industry or that particular facility. And sometimes interdepartmental movements also facilitate the need for education and understanding what those business processes are.
Perfect. Okay, so I think that'll lead really well into the visualization of you stepping through this framework.
Well, as you mentioned last time, you and I spoke about how we can achieve value and how to institutionalize best practices that provide consistency to the way that we manage businesses, whether they are components of the facility that are mobile or whether they are the facility, the plant side of it. So yes, I wanted to take you through just 3 slides, very quick and easy, to demonstrate the progression that we provide to clients as coaches.
Perfect. Let's kick it off. Okay, so we got what looks to be a pretty complex flow sheet, but I think Adam, your intention here is we'll walk through it in a systematic fashion. When you break it down, it all starts to make sense. Right.
Yes, this has a lot of moving parts. There are process design diagrams behind it that identify each of these boxes of how to do work, how CMMSs function. But I wanted to draw your attention to the closure stage. Why do we do this work? Why so many identification groups and stakeholders are involved? And to summarize, 3 outputs of this business process are key: program assessment, root cause analysis and lessons learned, and technology and operational impacts assessment. How do we evaluate the programs and the frameworks we put in place? How do we learn from these? And then how do we implement changes? Now, this next slide is a fairly busy one, but I want to draw your attention to this gray box on the bottom here, the programs used as part of the improvement associated with the maintenance business process. Non-conformance report processes, integrity incident management, root cause failure analyses. And when I speak about key performance indicators, the asset management team at Outliers speaks about trends, metrics that summarize into both leading and lagging key performance indicators. The most interesting component of this gray box is emerging threats. How does the reliability team capture history from the maintenance business process and the various stakeholders to identify problems that are coming up but have not manifested themselves? And then, of course, management report. What venue and what documentation do we output that are available to be actioned? And then the annual review and attest process is simply one that reviews the effectiveness of not just the program, but how it has been institutionalized and what value does it continue to create for the organization. And here's an example of a potential output of such a framework, both of the business process and of the reliability framework, and that is a bad actor report. Now, this one is an example of the top 10 bad actors from a facility, and summarizing all of those programs that you saw in the gray box allows us to rate pieces of equipment that provide the most challenge to an organization from quarter to quarter, and allow to track the improvement of those pieces of equipment. Being able to summarize the progression of downtime as well as breakdown by asset in the next component of the report allows for that comparison. And of course, this type of report would happen quarter by quarter. And so trending is one of the most key components of any good reliability program. At the end of the day, maintenance is always an expense. What money are we spending and where in order for us to be effective? And so summarizing where in the facility we have spent our precious resources and what assets those resources have gone into, both financial and human, allows for an evaluation of whether we are on track or whether potentially we're missing something. And of course, one of the most simplest but most important slides, and that is, where are we spending our money? And this entire framework simply justifies that the money that we are spending is correct and is based on evidence and is based on data that has been kept by the integrity or by the reliability team in a very clean and methodical way.
Adam, that's excellent. I think it really captures, here's the theory turned into practice and then an output with the whole intent. It's driving value for the business.
We definitely think so, yes.
Great. Okay, so I guess next step out of this would be, it's pretty interesting stuff. If anybody wanted to reach out to you to find out more, same thing we talked last time, easy hit up on LinkedIn or the Outliers website, and always happy to walk through this process with somebody.
Absolutely. We are easily accessible. And even though there's a wealth of information behind such simple slides, it's easy to explain. It's just lots of little boxes that need to be ticked off.
Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Adam.
Thank you.